All right, boom. We are live. Hey, welcome back. It's Tuesday. Again, the second of this amazing weekly show. And I'm sure over time, we're going to be able to build a little platform up and introduce everybody. But I have an amazing guest today. First of all, I'm with Dan McDonald, Dan and Dan again. That just happened that way. Chief of Staff of Spartan. And we'll go over things that happened this weekend and next weekend. And then we're going to introduce you to Yancy Culp, who is the co-founder and director of the DEKA race, which is insane. And to all my wrestling family out there and wrestling community, this is right up your alley. So we'll get into that. First of all, welcome, Yancy. Thanks for coming on with us.
Dan, I appreciate you for having me on. I love the shirt, my friend.
Thank you.
Do we have listeners and viewers or just listeners?
We have listeners and viewers sometimes. Viewers sometimes come after we hang up, but
all right. So for the listeners, Dan's got the Cheech and Chong t-shirt on today.
Yeah, I wanted to really I wanted to bring a new image here, right? I think that Cheech and Chong could have ran a Spartan race or done a DEKA race, but I will get into all that. So anyway, I'm here with Dan. We'll get to DEKA. But Dan was in Fayetteville this weekend. They had Fayetteville and Big Bear, right?
Yep.
Man, talk a little bit about it. How'd it go? I know you jumped over a few too many obstacles. He's down a leg here.
Oh, is he gimpy today? Is he gimped up?
Yeah, it's a little sore, but had a great time. We actually had two events going on in the Spartan world, and so one was in Big Bear, California. Did the Trifecta weekend with our beast, our super and our sprint. And then in Fayetteville, we had the Ultrafecta Trifecta weekend. So you had a choice of either the Ultra Beast, which is 2 loops. If you have 21K isn't enough, you do it again and add a little extra to it and end up with 50K. And then the super and sprint afterwards, absolutely amazing. Turnouts were amazing at both locations. Had an actual, they call them a dust devil, I guess, out in Big Bear. A little mini Spartan 8 is what they called it. They figured it might be a new obstacle, but it did a little damage to the finish line. But in true Spartan fashion, as soon as it blew over, they went out there, fixed it, and got back to racing.
I was going to ask, who was the dude? I saw somebody in the video, obviously was recording it to get the video, and then you saw the shadow of the person like haul ass. Like maybe the thing was coming.
Dude, there was I saw these blades like whip off and just take off, and I mean we need to play up the Spartan NATO marketing, Dano, for sure.
Yeah, they said they're fishing out some of the bicycle barrier things from a couple trees this morning. So,
Nice.
So in all seriousness, I mean, obviously it was a scary time, but like I said, true Spartan fashion, as soon as it went by, the racers were right back in the festival area and out there finishing up. So it was pretty cool to see all that. We had kids out in Fayetteville. Again, a chance to get the Spartan kids out there. They were running competitively along with the open. If you get a chance, there's a couple of really cool posts out there that really show the Spartan, just the way it really is with family and stuff. There was a young kid who just finished, just gotten cleaned up. So anybody who's ever ran a Spartan race and all before, you get muddy, right? Or if you do a tough muddy, you're getting muddy at one of these things. So you go get cleaned up, you got your new finisher shirt on, you got your medal around your neck, and you're excited. And this one kid was walking by and he saw a younger kid afraid to get into the mud, like nervous about jumping into the mud. This older kid still like dressed in the clothes he was supposed to go home in, jumped into the mud and helped the other kid across it, right? I mean, that's, incredible community. Again, it's why I love this so much. And again, we got an amazing weekend coming up here. That actually is going to include what we're going to talk about with Yancy here in a bit. We got DEKA going out to Anaheim. I believe Joe's even heading out that direction. I do believe Yancy to come out there.
He told me he was planning and scheming a trip out there, so we're really excited about that.
Yeah. So I'm going to
let me tell you a super quick story to take 15 seconds here. So you talk about the Spartan NATO. The build crew at Spartan are so damn resilient the first DEKA we put on, we had some of the old OG build crew in there, and they couldn't help it. They were like reaching for sandbag. Do we need to sandbag this stuff? I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, we're inside. There's going to be no Spartan NATOs, no wind, no rain. They're like, oh my gosh, this is weird. We don't have to prepare for the craziness that the weather provides. So yeah, there's the bookends of DEKA and Spartan OCR are pretty wide, pretty far apart,
Well, I said,
a little different.
And I'm looking forward to really digging into what the differences, right? The similarities,
Yep.
but then also the differences and what they mean. I just want to real quick give some people some heads up on where we're going to be at this coming weekend. So it is a full-on Spartan Tough Mudder, literally all over the world is coming up this weekend here. Tough Mudder is in Philly for their Infinity series and their Toughest Mudder series, along with their regular 5K, 10K, 15K. So a big weekend in Philadelphia is coming up here. They're also in London. London West is the venue they're going to be at there for Tough Mudder. Spartan is in Nationals Park for, and Yancy knows about this, one of our other series called the Stadion series.
That's pretty cool. You were telling me about that.
Yeah, so
That's
these things are
really
held
cool.
in stadiums all over the country, right?
Mhm.
This one happens to be in Nationals Park. So we're going to be up there. And then we're also going to be in Austin. We got 10K and 5K in Austin. But while we're in Austin, and again, yet another part of what we do is our trail events. So trail events is almost like that other, end of our thing, Dan. It's the person who likes to run. It's the cross country runner that maybe doesn't want to crawl under barbed wire for 100 yards or doesn't.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
somebody like we were talking, we were at the Wishmakers Ball this weekend. I dragged Joe out there so we could meet some people, and we were talking to some people, and some of them are just like, man, my ankles, my feet, it's tough to go through that. And immediately we're like, well, we have the trail added now, so you don't necessarily have to come do a OCR or whatever you guys call it, an obstacle course race. You can actually come and walk a trail and just hang out with people and still get the same experience. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's pretty cool. It's like in Austin, when we do them at the same time that we're doing the OCR event, what you'll find a lot of people doing is they'll do that trail in the morning, early morning, get out there, see the sunrise. It's absolutely gorgeous. Then they turn right back around and they go do the OCR right afterwards. So they get both events in. And the cool thing is you're right out there, like the trails are like pretty close to each other as you're going through. And so you get to see some of the OCR stuff going on. But yeah, a lot of folks, they'll make it at their first time into the Spartan world. Will just be a nice trail event to understand what it's like, what some of the things are. So yeah, we got that going on. And then the other, and again, I keep saying the other end of the spectrum, but this is another end of the spectrum, the hurricane heat. Not quite the death race, which I always give the props to my man Yancy when I look over his right shoulder and I see that death race bib sitting back there, one of the early original ones, right? I mean, this is
That's how I met our crazy owner, CEO, founder, Joe DeSena. We're talking business 50 hours into his 72-hour death race that he punished us in. That's where we met. We're talking business on the side of his mountain when I'm completely turned inside out. And there you go. We've been collaborating together ever since.
It's amazing. I mean, with that being said, should we let people know who he is?
we got to tell everybody who this amazing man is.
So Yancy Culp, and I am again, I'm new to Spartan, this world, and I'm becoming totally engulfed by it. It's really cool. Perfect time for them to come into my life because I'm fat and out of shape, and they're going to help me do that. But we've got Yancy Culp. Yancy Culp's the co-founder and the director of the DEKA race, which is super cool. And as I said earlier, I think that DEKA and wrestling or any athletic team event, this is great for him. But Yancy, tell us. Well, also first of all, he's got Yancy Camp. He's got the Ram roller that just got released, and some other cool stuff that he'll talk about out there in the world. But teach us about DEKA, Yancy.
Before I dive in that, Dan, have you formally crossed any type of Spartan finish line yet? Or have you walked into any start line of
I am
Spartan
not,
corral?
but we have it set up. My friend here, Dan McDonald, is going to drag me by the back of my t-shirt to make sure that I get through one first.
I just had to get to the important stuff first.
Yes.
He
Um,
is, yeah,
so-
Yancy, he is part of a crew that will hit their first one ever here in Central Florida at the end of the year. So we're gonna work with him and a
I love
couple
it.
other people and get them across their first one.
I love it. Well, as an old fitness coach for 25 plus years and a competitive athlete since elementary school, officially middle school, but been competing and coaching and training people for a long time for all levels of fitness, from professional athletes, college, high school, middle school, and just the ones that bring me the most joy are just the people that get talked into or decide to show up to a training session to become a little better version of themselves. Research shows that a vast majority of people walking the planet have never stepped up to a start line in their life, never competed in anything, they didn't play sports, team sports or individual sports in middle school or high school or college. And in many cases, they've never had a gym membership, and they're not a good version of themselves physically. And what we wanted to provide with DEKA was a start line for every single level of fitness. And I know it's easy to say that. And a lot of people say, well, what we do is for all levels, but and when I say we, I pitched this idea to Joe. We were sitting in his kitchen in late 2019 in Pittsfield, Vermont. And Joe's like, I freaking like this. We broaden the bookends. We provide a start line for a larger audience. And I, we were talking about, listen, 70-80% of people walking on the planet, we may never get to a Spartan start line or a Tough Mudder start line. Or if we get them to something lower level, it might be the hook that gets them outside into the OCR world. So I said, Joe, got a good friend, Jared Cogswell. I need to get him on board because there's no way you and I can manage this ourselves. I've got a lot of experience in the fitness world, running fitness businesses and whatnot, but he's the industry leader, and we brought Jared on board, and DEKA was launched. And we built it from scratch during a time when people thought you were crazy to start anything new in the world of fitness, when people were just trying to keep their freaking lights on during COVID. And it worked, and it worked well. And here's the deal. It's not debatable, is what I like to say. Is there's a lot of people that right now in their current mindset, we cannot get them to the mud and the barbed wire and the obstacles. So we're like, you know what? We're going to create a Spartan race that for them is a much, much lower barrier of entry. But the 20% cyborgs, they're going to enjoy it as well. In the same arena on the same day, using the exact same standards, everybody is going to be able to come together and test their fitness. And Dan, when you test that first time, it sets a hook. And it can lead you into that world of the greatest addiction, the greatest drug on the planet, which is fitness and taking care of the beautiful machine. So what's happened to tens of thousands of people across the planet and even the globe, I can say, in our beautiful Spartan DEKA affiliate program, where 160 plus gyms, clubs, studios, and boxes have bolted us on and started putting on formal Spartan DEKA races. They're testing their fitness, and they're finding their very first start line. And we have over 99% completion. They're finding their first finish line. And I'll end with this, and because I know you probably got some questions, but here's the deal with DEKA. When we say we were maniacally focused to make this for all levels of fitness, and we had to genuinely mean that when we say it. So with that, we built 10 zones, 10 functional fitness zones. And I want the listeners and viewers to think 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, when it wasn't fitness and exercise, it was basic movement for survival. We lift, carry, push, pull, get on the ground, get back up off the ground, kneel down, stand back up, get over a basic obstacle in life, and 3 basic forms of transportation that have been around for a long, long time: rowing, skiing, and biking. That's DEKA. If the 3 of us are putting an event on in our gym and somebody walks past the front door and they see what's going on and they're 100 pounds overweight and unfit, they can walk into that gym, sign up day of, and they will find the finish line. It's for everybody. And most common participatory sports that are out there, let's name them: marathon, half marathon, Spartan, Tough Mudder, CrossFit Open, triathlons. These are the things that are out there. Again, another non-debatable. For a lot of people, that stuff scares the shit out of them. And we wanted to simply expand the bookends of Spartan and add another race, another test. So a larger group of audience could come in and test and then they see, wow, there's a lot of wonderful offerings with Spartan. I could go down this path for a couple more hours without you guys even chiming in, but I know you got some questions for me. That's my quick elevator pitch. So what you got for me, Dano?
Yeah, the first question, the first thing I'd like you to talk about on my side of it, and I know that I know Dan wants you to touch on the new DEKA Fire system that you got in place for new fat people like myself to get back in shape. But wrestling, so I saw you at the Spartan RTC. I saw you in there. I saw you teaching about DEKA. I saw you releasing the Ram roller and everything. DEKA for wrestling and wrestlers. I know you talk very passionately about why it would work. Talk about why wrestlers should be in and at and participating in DEKA races.
Yeah, we've had the wonderful opportunity since we launched a little over 2 years ago now to test at the professional level, collegiate, high school, middle school level, virtually all mainstream sports where you can, where you can sign up and compete at, like I said, the middle school, high school, college, or pro level. Let me turn this down a little bit, gentlemen. I got real hot all of a sudden. And what we quickly found out, again, going back to the design of DEKA, is we wanted it to be a phenomenal full body functional fitness test. Strength and power, anaerobic hit, endurance, stamina. We wanted it to hit everything and to be this great, well-rounded test. And when we started seeing the high-level athletes come in and compete, they were like, oh my gosh, that's one of the hardest things I have ever done. And from the wrestlers to the football players, basketball, soccer, every single sport is coming into the arena and tested. And we get that feedback. I said, wow, the grip was tested. All my muscle groups were tested. That was a freaking lung thumper. I found myself on the roller coaster ride, that anaerobic roller coaster ride, and having to dip back down and slow down and get into the anaerobic engine. And it hits hard and it leaves you turned completely inside out. And those athletes that come in that are in really good shape, you're going to see, let's talk about the time frame. And we look at, a wrestling match or an intense, training cycle that wrestlers would be in, where we're going to go hard and maybe go twice, 2 to 3 times longer than the match would last. And we're grinding. The best of the best that step into the DEKA Strong Arena, which is our 10 zones with no running, they're going to live in the 12 to 15 minute range. Just knock down, drag out, taking your freaking body from head to toe on a roller coaster ride. That's about the top 25% of the world we find are 12 to 15, 16 minutes. And then you're going to see like 16 to 25, about 50% of the world. And then 25 minutes plus for the people that are just, maybe they're not a good version of themselves right now. So you step into, let's say, like the RTC, those guys and girls are in really good shape, and their conditioning is through the roof. If I tested every one of them, I can almost guarantee 99% of them are going to land in that 12 to 16 minute range. And it is a freaking slugfest. So to be able, here's the beautiful thing. Let me paint the picture to your question. If I walk up to a wrestling coach and he or she has 80 kids, if we're able to test those 80 kids, we've got a really, really good benchmark exactly where they are. Let's say we're diving right into the off season. We get them tested. And then you dive in as the coach, and we come back and we test them every 2 to 3 months. It's going to give you that stamp of well-rounded fitness conditioning. Nothing is left. Nothing is not tested when you earn your DEKA Strong mark. And then with DEKA Mile, we precede each zone with 160 meters of run. So you've ran a total of a mile. And of course, DEKA Fit, we precede them by 500 meters. So you've ran a total of 5K, but really and truly for those wrestlers, that DEKA Strong is the really good, well-rounded test for those wrestlers. And one thing I hear from the wrestlers when they test is like, gosh, dang, man, I love the grip intensity, the grip endurance intensity. And, it's full body strength endurance test, strength and power and endurance. But as we know, that grip is so damn important.
Absolutely. And the one thing I have, and then I'll, excuse me, I'll hand it over to Dan. And then before you get off, obviously, let's just touch on the new RAM roller and stuff, because I know you guys are wanting to get that into gyms. You've tested them in athletes and stuff. But if I'm a wrestling club out there, if I'm a wrestling coach out there, if I have a high school team or if a college team, do I have to travel to a DEKA to be part of DEKA? Can DEKA bring DEKA to a club? Can they say, hey, Yancy, we heard about DEKA, we joined DEKA. How can we invite you to our club for a Saturday to put on this stuff here? How can we get DEKA involved in what we do every day? Is that something that can happen?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a lot of great options available. We have about, as I mentioned earlier, we have about 160 gyms, club studios, and boxes who have bolted us on. They've affiliated with us, but we also have some companies, just some general entities out there, teams, clubs, organizations that are affiliating with us. So you can take your team to a local gym and test. You can affiliate with us and put on formal Spartan DEKA events, races in your facility where you train. We have a great revenue share model where our affiliates, if they put on an event and 100 people come and test, in this case, the moms and dads, the local community come and can test with those kids, where you keep 75% of the revenue. We basically built DEKA in a way where anybody that teams up with us, you cannot fail. But we can also bring what we call a DEKA roadshow to you. We can bring the equipment and we can test all your people depending on the market. We have 4 regional road shows across the country where we can bring a couple lines of equipment to you and test your people. So there's a lot of options out there, and it's all gamified. We've got at all of our events, we have a live leaderboard. So your wrestlers are testing and they see where they stand. Maybe their parents are jumping in the arena with them and testing. And then a couple of days later, they go to our global leaderboard. So those, let's say they're in the 14 to 17 age group, they see where they stand with tens of thousands of other people that have done that exact same test. And I think there's great benefit to always have that test that's never going to change. It's always going to be the exact same test that you go back on, and you can kind of see it's always you versus you, but to be able to compare yourself with the gamification that we've stood up really makes for a neat opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah. And I wanted you to share that because I think once this video gets out into the wrestling community and people listen to it and hear what this is about, I think it is a great thing for that community and for any community, obviously football, basketball, soccer, tennis, whatever you're doing in athletes. Wouldn't you say, Dan?
Yeah. And, so Yancy, I know here in the Lake Nona, Orlando area, one of the local major performance center here in town added the DEKA Strong into their center. Mm-hmm. And, we did a big premiere show there and stuff, earlier this year back in March. And, one of the things, and I obviously still talk to these guys on a regular basis because they're right around the corner. They like the fact that the 10 stations, you can work out at the 10 stations, right? Yep, so it's 100%. Not so like what Dan is saying with like these clubs and these wrestling clubs or just overall high schools or college, if they put 2 rows of the 10 stations in, it's not only usable when you're doing an event, it is everything, exactly how you word it, everything's a station.
That's exactly right.
You could go through it as quickly as you wanted to go through it, or you can go through it and get good full range of motion, slow down, slow up, fast up, whatever you want to do and get the different muscles all working. So it's not just come in and compete. There actually literally works, actual workout stations, which I think is a cool part of DEKA, right?
2 lines of equipment is a full gym. If that's what you have. And I could present that to any coach out there and say, leave these 2 lines of equipment set up right here. You may be doing other things as well. Mesh that in 3 to 4 days a week during your training. Absolute game changer. And I'll lean back in on wrestling for a bit. It's one of the most primal, just beautiful old school. Yes, it's a sport, but it's something that's been going on, grappling for thousands and thousands of years. And that's a beautiful part about wrestling. And when you compare it to the basic rudimentary design that we were maniacally focused on when building DEKA, I want somebody, a wrestler that's never done DEKA before is going to come in and do really well right out of the gate because they have a beautiful, strong heart and lung engine. They got good strength and power endurance. They're going to do well. But everything that comes to making a great wrestler is, as that DEKA strong mark improves, I promise you, they are a better wrestler with the way it is designed. But to Dan's point, it's also designed in a way to be a phenomenal gym. We have the DEKA training system where we give all of our affiliates 3 specific workouts every week. I'll hit on this real quick. The strength and power workout, DEKA forwards, is 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 4 rounds. For our zones, the DEKA burn is 60 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 3 rounds. And the DEKA grit, more that endurance and stamina, 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 2 rounds. So we're hitting all 3 of the energy systems there with our training system. And then once a quarter, we do our DEKA challenges where it's a fun challenge where everybody jumps in the arena and it's always team based, 2, 3, or 4 person team where we lean in on the a couple specific zones and build these gamified challenges where we stand up leaderboards. So the wrestlers always love it when we test them in the DEKA arena, my friend.
So Yancy, so one of my favorite parts that got me into, DEKA was this DEKA fire, setting your mark, right? And the ability to set your mark without having to go into a gym necessarily, to at least get started and understand the basics of it. Can you just touch on that just real quick and what, I know your recommendation to me right away was, okay, you got your mark. Now make this part of your weekly workout.
Exactly right.
So can you just touch on that a little bit on what that means and what people can do to see their mark actually up on our leaderboard?
Yeah, it's so powerful to allow people to test their fitness. Where it's not just about sweating and looking better in the bathing suit, losing a few pounds, to really test. So you get the stamp, like, you know what, the time that I've been investing to become a better version of myself, it's paying off. So we had to provide that super, super low barrier of entry. We literally vaporized every barrier of entry you could ever think of. Time, equipment, cost, travel. DEKA Fire requires none of those. You need 5 meters of space, your body weight, a timing device, a measuring device, and 4 markers, cones, books, rocks, whatever you have to lay out your 5-meter zone. And you've got your Spartan race inside your living room, your front yard, your backyard, your park. I could walk into any wrestling gym in the United States of America or the world for that matter. There could be 60 kids in there. In less than an hour, I could have every single one of them tested. They've earned their Spartan DEKA Fire mark. And I'm telling you right now, the ones that are in the best shape are absolutely going to score the best. It's going to whoop their ass. Everybody's going to be turned inside out. And the ones that are not in shape, maybe it's the newcomers, they're going to get their ass handed to them. And they're going to see where they are. It's a great, we beat this to death for about 2 months until we were really satisfied where if some professional athletes step into the arena, is it going to check that box? Are they going to say, is this a really good, well-rounded fitness test? But that person that's 100 pounds overweight and unfit, is it going to work for them as well? Absolutely. I would argue right now, as far as, no barrier of entry, like can we test millions that quick? We could test millions in one day if it went semi-viral. And I'm telling you right now, exercise physiologists, some of the greatest coaches on the planet, professional coaches on a broad spectrum of all levels of sports would say, that's a damn good test. That's a great off-season test for our people. I would love to be able to walk in and just snap my fingers and test every single wrestler across the United States of America. You would really be able to see where they stood, and it would relate to how well they do late in matches, how well they do. We've all seen that wrestler or athlete that looks really sharp for 15, 20 minutes, and then they're a hot mess later on in practice. It's going to expose that as well. 6 to 7 minutes for the cyborgs. 25% of the world is going to be 10 minutes or less. 50% of the world is going to fall in the 10 to 15 minute range. And the ones that need to get their butt going are going to be 15 minutes plus. So those are kind of our 3 tiers to kind of give you a say, okay, where do I live right now? But it's a damn good test. I get really geeked up about DEKA Fire because it is the absolute phenomenal gateway drug to all things getting your ass in the arena and stepping up to that first start line.
Yeah, and I want to talk just real quick before we sign off here. When you say like you can do it anywhere. I literally, as I'm looking out the window here of the room that we're in, it's our office area. It's an open shared office space, right? Another person here at Spartan with me every Tuesday and Thursday. We do everything but the running part, right here in the office with everybody watching us. Don't care, doesn't
Love it.
matter. And then just last week, so she had done it herself, when I first did it a month and a half ago. And we just did it last week outside, 95 degree heat, humid here in Orlando, outside in the field that's about behind us here. And she knocked 3 minutes off her original time, just because we turned it into part of our regular workout, right? To do these movements and get these movements figured out and how to do them quicker, more efficient stuff. So again, Yancy, I completely agree. And is it DEKAfire.com? Is that where somebody would go to
DEKA,
do this? Where we got to go?
DEKA.fit for all things DEKA. Scroll down just a little bit on the homepage. You're going to see all things DEKA Fire. You're going to be able to, you're going to see my information video. You're going to see the 10 zones. You're going to be able to submit your mark. Again, no barriers of entry, folks. You can do it in your freaking living room or backyard. It doesn't take hardly anything. There are no barriers. I think it's important. We talk about all things DEKA, and when we broadened our bookends and why we exist at Spartan and Tough Mudder and Trail and DEKA and everything we do, is to provide that start line, to set that hook. Here's the deal, folks. And this is important. I want all the listeners and viewers, get on the edge of your seat right now and freaking tattoo this to your brain, what I'm about to say. You've got to prepare yourself to be able to always be ready to say yes to what life provides you. There's way too many people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are not taking care of themselves. And they wake up when they're way too damn young and they're forced to say no to what life provides. Sometimes that's vacation with the kids. That's the type of work you want to do. It's being able to go to the park and play with your kids. Being a little selfish with your time every day and saying, it's Yancy time, it's Dan time. I need these next 20, 30 minutes to take care of my beautiful machine so serving yourself today is going to be able, it's going to provide you the opportunity to serve people the rest of your day and tomorrow and the rest of your life. Serve yourself first, because everybody in your life is going to benefit. Do not let yourself go. Don't be the person that says, remember back in the day when I was in high school or college, I could do this or that. Don't be that. Back in the day can be today, right now. Be able to say yes to playing with your kids, vacation with the kids, and all the work you want to do. And eventually your damn grandkids. Way too many people are saying no way too damn early. Let's find a good fitness journey. That's what we do at Spartan. We provide those start lines to hook you in and say, you know what? This was beautiful. I enjoyed testing myself today.
Awesome. Well, on that note, that's thanks. I appreciate you coming on. I know it's awesome. I'm gonna share this everywhere as soon as I get off, and God willing, we get that wrestling community strong into DEKA, and also that ram roller. I know that you guys have a ram roller now that's been released into gyms, and it's being released into the wrestling world, and it's really cool. It's like a cylinder, and they come in different weights, and you'll see the kids doing like shoots, pretending like they're shooting single legs and pretending like they're shooting double leg, and pulling and pushing and rolling. And it's just a great tool. Look it up. Go to DEKA and check out the ram roller.
Yeah, guys, that's it's made out of it takes 2 recycled car tires to make every Spartan ram. RAM stands for recycle and move. And it's becoming viral in gyms all across the country and the world, because what happens is you got this phenomenal unbreakable, which we love that word, Spartan, unbreakable strength training tool that also doubles as a body maintenance tool when you're done. You can roll with it, you can temper with it. So it's a great 2 for 1. Oh, I always got the sales hat on, Dan.
Yeah, I got you. All right, brother, you take it easy. And thank you so much for coming on. Dan and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. All right.